to infinity and beyond. Welcome. Welcome. That's just that was the wing it intro, and that's what came to my head.
All right.
Welcome to Neon Nightcast podcast.
If you didn't guess, we're doing Toy Story. Nah, just
No,
kidding.
no, that's next month maybe. I don't know. This is a podcast, and we talk about pop culture stuff. And I'm your host, Michael Thrax. Like always, I'm joined by my good friend Garrett Zagri and my half brother Eric Dr. Soybean.
Thank you, or as I like to call you, the Barney Fife to my Andy Taylor.
I mean, I'm still trying to get these, but I have no clue
No idea.
because Eric's such a fucking old man.
Also, he's my full brother. That was just I don't know why I said that.
Yeah, I was like, is that real?
Like what?
Didn't think
Huh?
it was.
No, we're pure blood. As far as we know, we're pure blood. Maybe there was
You
trouble
guys
in
are both.
paradise.
You guys both act like babies a lot of the time, so I would say you're full blood.
Yeah. Speaking of babies and Toy Story, our topic tonight is what are we calling it? We're calling it growing up gamers.
Gamers with the GAYMERS.
Nah, that ain't me.
Nah, man, nah, that's you, man.
Not
So
that
we're
there's anything wrong with that.
hey, I'm their biggest fan. Anyways,
What
we're
does
gonna
that
talk
mean?
about we're gonna talk about I don't know. Basically, we're just gonna talk about memories of growing up with video games as our favorite pastime. It's something that all three of us have done our entire lives, and we thought it'd be fun and interesting to share stories and such and such.
And maybe you'll experience
Such and
some
such.
nostalgic memories of your own if you're in the same age range as
The
the
age
three of us
range
are.
of
But
what is
the
it,
three of us,
20 to 30?
we cover a pretty wide net here. I'd say anyone from about 15 to 35 would at
Yeah.
least have some of the same memories of at least one of us. So
Yeah, as the young blood. I don't know if 15, maybe more like I feel like 15 is so young. People that are 15 were born in 2002, Eric. They weren't even born
Holy Jesus.
before this
yeah,
century.
that's a good point. But I mean, Garrett, you were still under 10 years old then, so some of their very early memories might be your memories when you were a
That's
preteen.
true.
You know what I'm saying?
A preteen
Yeah.
getting it on.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, let's start off at the very beginning. All right, boys. First game that you ever played.
Who would like to start off?
Well, we go. It always goes Garrett, Eric, Michael.
Does it always go that way?
Yes,
It doesn't
sir.
always go that way.
I feel
but
like
that
Eric
seems
starts
There's
it off
been a
sometimes.
couple of times that I change it up, but this is the order we're gonna go with from now on.
All right, first game I ever played. I remember watching my brother play a lot of games. He was older than me, so he would always have dibs.
Yeah.
The earliest one I can remember, like playing a lot, is Super Smash Bros. Actually, for the N64.
Hmm.
Even though, like, I remember watching my brother play Super Mario on the Super Nintendo. Um, my mom claims she had an Atari, but I don't know how true that is. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, definitely Super Smash Bros. Was like one of the games
So the N64 was
a
like
lot
the
of hours into.
first kind of console you remember having.
Um, yeah, definitely. Because
I
I barely remember like the Super Nintendo even.
Okay. I was gonna say it sounds about right that Gabe would force you to just watch him play. Gabe is completely like that.
I mean, yeah, they were all like one person games back then, and
Yeah.
Gabe was far better than I
Well,
was. So
I think he might have been lying to you just so he could, no, this game isn't two player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
No, there's no
Yeah,
two-player function. It's
I
single
mean, yeah,
player.
we played Super Smash Bros. A lot together though, so
Yeah, we uh we have similar kind of stories, but we treated things differently in our house. But anyways, Eric, your first game ever played?
Well, the first game that I can barely recollect playing was actually on an Atari 800, which was a computer from the early 80s that also played Atari games. And I have very, very vague memories of that, and I don't even really remember what the game was. So I guess technically it's that, but the first one that I have a clear memory of playing was Mario 3 for the original Nintendo, which we didn't own original Nintendo as kids. We'll get into that later, I guess. Our first console was the Super Nintendo, but I was at some friends of our parents' house, and they had a Nintendo, and I played Mario 3 and was completely blown away by it because what I knew of video games was very primitive Atari stuff at that time. So it's pretty mind blowing, and that's what led me to start begging for us to get a Nintendo, which led to us then getting a Super Nintendo for that Christmas, which had just came out.
Mm. Yes, I
mm.
remember. I remember that. I remember when we opened it. And I was really young, so this is like early memories, man. Like I just
Well,
remember
it would have
opening
been
it.
it was the first year it came out, so that would have been Christmas of 1991. So you were like 2 years old, basically.
I
So did
just
you like open the present and like it's a box of like female toys? Yeah, it's like, oh shit,
oh
wrong
fuck
fucking present.
shit. No, but I just I faintly remember just like opening the box and it just being like, "There's a Super Nintendo."
Yeah, because see, this was, prior to internet, and we were really, really young at the time, so we didn't know that Super Nintendo even existed. I had basically played the original Nintendo and told, Mike, about how amazing it was, and we asked for that. So when we opened it and saw Super Nintendo, it was, even more of a surprise.
So the first game that I remember playing. Now, I must have had seen or played before, but like what we're talking about, I was really young. But I must have played a Mario game before it. But my first game that I remember playing myself was Super Mario World.
Yeah.
Super what? Sorry.
Super Mario World.
There you go.
Super Mario World.
Yeah, you say all these like game names strangely.
Well, I talk weird. I think all
Also,
our
you
viewers know
always say
this.
they do. You always say pop culture really weird too. You say like pap culture.
Say it. Say pop culture, Mike.
Pop culture.
There you go.
now
Anyways,
now
continue.
that we're playing
Okay, so yeah, Super Mario World, like that game, I really like. It's fun. It still is something that I'll go back to and play it. It's still a really fun game. But that's about it. Um, so my next question, our next topic is, what is your favorite console growing up, or the one that you have the fondest memories of?
well, since I always go first, apparently, my favorite is the PlayStation 2. I just an amazing amount of games on that one, and one of my all-time favorite games, Kingdom Hearts, was on that. And I don't know, man. The very first game I bought was for PlayStation 2, Lost Planet. Lost Planet was so much fucking fun.
Lost Planet.
Yeah, it was like you were on this world that was like experiencing an ice age or something, but all the monsters that you killed had like heat sources on them, and you had to like kill them to collect the heat sources so you'd stay alive. But they came out with
Interesting.
like a couple sequels afterwards, but I only played the first one, and but it was a great game. I loved it.
Okay.
Can we talk about? I mean, we were going to get into this later, but since Garrett brought up the PS2, I got to bring up that sweet PS2 startup sound.
Oh yeah.
When you boot up the console and you see those like, the blocks, and you hear that kind of like, I can't imitate it, but you hear that tone.
Yeah, for me, it's like a
And
tie between the PlayStation 1 and the PS2 starting up sounds. Like, those are like, they just, like, I don't know, like, they're so nostalgic. They just make me so happy.
for me, it's specifically PS2 because I didn't get a PS2 right when it came out. I got it a couple years after that. So I would skip. I was in high school at this time, and I would skip school to go to this guy's house and fuck around with his PS2, and we play like DDR and Tekken and shit. And I don't know, I hear that sound, and it's like a summer day. I'm playing video games. I don't have to worry about jobs or fucking rent or serious things, and it's a good feeling.
It's a good feeling. So what was your
games help me escape the world? The world's scary.
what was your favorite console?
You're asking me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Come on, boy, keep up. Come on, boy.
See, I don't
Keep
think
up, boy.
I can. I don't know if I can pick between Super Nintendo and original Nintendo because I love both of those consoles. I collect for both of them. If you asked me on different days, I feel like my answer would change. It would always be one of those two, but my answer would change depending on what mood I'm in. But I don't know. Lately, I've really been into collecting for the original Nintendo, so I'll say that
Ew,
original
yuck.
Nintendo.
That's for old people. And old people suck.
Well, Eric's a fucking old person.
Old ass man.
Hello, it's 2017. Why would you play that?
It's all
I
about
only play Candy Crush
Minecraft.
on my iPhone.
Get a PC and play PC games. PC Master Race. The only way to go. If you own a console in this day and age, you're a fucking.
No, I'm not into.
I don't know.
Sitting at a computer shitting into a sock waiting for a raid to end is not my style.
Okay, I have.
That's not all the PC games.
I've done a lot of raiding in my time, but I've always made it to the bathroom.
Nah, you used to poop socket back in your
No,
high
I
school days.
didn't.
Mom!
Shut.
Mom, bathroom.
Yeah, bathroom. So, my favorite console is either the Super Nintendo or the PlayStation 1/2.
Well, you just named 3 consoles.
Well, the PlayStation 1 and
Yeah.
2,
Pick one.
for me, it was like the same.
Okay,
They're
for
not.
you,
They're not the same though. You have to pick one, Mike.
Okay, gun to my
If
head,
Eric-
favorite console, Super Nintendo. If
There
I
you
could only
go.
take one console with the full library to a desert island,
library.
He
Super
talks
Nintendo.
weird, Eric.
I'm just gonna ignore everything you guys say and have my own podcast tonight.
No, I only mentioned it because you specifically said library, which is like the stereotypical, like, I'm going to go to the library and rent us up some movies.
Some
Who goes to the
movies.
library to rent movies?
I know someone that listens to this podcast that goes to the library to rent movies.
Oh, no. Jen does that?
I think so.
What does she rent? Pete's Dragon?
I don't know. Anyway.
Peanut Butter Solution?
Anyway.
We're shitting on our only listener.
Yeah, our
guys.
only
No, I'm
loyal
good.
fan.
I'm giving her a hard time, but it's all in good fun.
But my favorite memory with regards to like getting a console or anything is one summer we were visiting our father and we were dirt poor. Super just whatever. And we used to go
Well, we're
either
middle class. Yeah.
we used to go to a mall in a connecting town or another connecting town. We would go to the Zellers and we would just like window shop.
Zellers, by the way, is like a Canadian Kmart for our confused American listeners.
Yeah,
Anyways.
and it's long out of business. So one day, Dad gathers us up and he takes us over to the Zellers, and we're just like looking at the N64 because it was like the new console, and we're just looking at the games and shit. And he turned to the clerk and was like, "Yo, give me one of those N64s." And
I don't think he said it like that, but yeah.
but like the three of us just like lost our minds, just like what good, because it was not Christmas, it wasn't anyone's birthdays, like, and I just remember being like ecstatic, just so happy. And yeah, the N64 will just like I'll always have that memory with it.
Yeah, I think we got a couple games too. We got Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Harvest Moon. I don't know if we got
Harvest
that when we
Moon
got the
came
console
later.
or
The
not.
original games that we got was Super Mario 64, Diddy Kong Racing, Mario Kart 64, and that awful golf game.
Why would you need
Oh,
Diddy Kart Racing and then Mario Kart?
What?
Just
sorry.
you said you got Diddy Racing.
Yeah, Diddy Kong Racing and Mario Kart. We got both
Why would you
because
get both?
there wasn't a lot of games out, and we just
Yeah, it was
wanted those two.
it was pretty
Like we
new.
knew
There
they
wasn't
were
a
good.
lot to choose from.
Yeah.
You loved Diddy Kong Racing so much that okay, I gotta tell this story because like it
This
goes to
made up
show.
story. This
No, it
story
goes to
that
show
was
like
absolutely non-existent.
okay,
I'll
we were
decide.
like assholes to each other when we were kids. For a lot of times when we were kids, we didn't get along that well, and we constantly try to fuck with each other or just make fun of each other.
Not different from today.
So Mike really, really loved Diddy Kong Racing for a while. He was like obsessed with it. So
I
to
was
make
never
fun of him,
obsessed with Diddy Kong Racing.
dude,
I
you went through,
liked the game, but I liked
dude.
Mario Kart 64 more. I played Diddy Kart more because it had
No,
an adventure mode.
you were obsessed with it because we owned a book that had a bunch of pictures of tigers in it, and you went through that book and drew a Timba hat on every single tiger.
I have no memory of this. Guys,
So
he makes up shit all the time.
I'm not making that up. I swear to God. But this
Uh,
this other thing I did make up just to be an asshole, and it was because he loved that game so much. When you start up that game, there's like the character select screen, and it's like there's some goofy music playing, and the characters are kind of like dancing in place when you like select them. So for some reason, I told people that I caught him at our babysitter's house just leaving the game running on the select screen, and he
it's
stood
so
next to the TV
stupid.
and he stood next to the TV and danced like he was one of the characters.
And it was just like this. Yeah, well, I saw you do it, and I'm like, I didn't do it.
Wow, you were a real asshole, Eric.
Oh, believe me, we did worse than that to each other. But yeah.
I'm
Anyways,
sure, but still,
Anyway,
just making up some fucking bullshit.
he made up. Oh, dude, that's a time. That's another podcast, I guess, where
what shit
all
I made up?
all the shit that Eric made up. So,
um,
on the same topic of consoles and your parents buying them for you, what was the first console that you bought for yourself?
For yourself, Garrett.
oh, oh, I never bought a console for myself. Like all my consoles until my PC were like presents or gifts. So, like we got the N64, and then we got like one Christmas we got like Game Boys, like they were Game Boy Advances, but they were the box ones that were flippy.
Oh, okay. So like they're a square that flips open.
Yeah, we got those Game Boys one Christmas,
Game Boy
and
SP.
then SP, yeah, that's probably what they're called. And then we also got the PlayStation 2 for Christmas one year. So yeah, and then we got the Xbox, and that was the last console we ever got, the Xbox 360. And then we got PCs. So we never really bought a console for ourselves. So technically, my computer would be the first console, in air quotes, that I got for myself.
Okay.
So me now, I guess.
Yes, sir.
First console I actually bought for myself was the original NES, and it was because I'd always wanted one. But like we discussed earlier, the first console we got was Super Nintendo, so I didn't get it when it was new. I bought it in 2000 because I had a friend who was wanted to raise money to buy a PS2, which was coming out. So he's like, he knew I wanted a Nintendo. He had one in a library of games. So he's like, yeah, I'll sell you my console. And this is before retro gaming was really a thing, and these things hadn't gone like now. Okay, he was going to sell me a regular Nintendo, two controllers, the gun, a Game Genie, and about 14 games for $40. And now, if you were to buy that, like online or at a retro game store, easily, I'm gonna say $300 to $400
So
easily.
what you do with it, Eric?
Well, I still own it to this day. But the thing is, though, he told his mom, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna sell, Eric my Nintendo for $40, and she's like, that thing's really old. Are you sure you're being fair to him? And she made him sell it to me for 20. So I paid $20 for a Nintendo and a dozen games, which is insane
That
by
is
what
Holy
that shit.
shit.
insane.
Yeah, by what
Yeah.
that shit goes for now, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my first.
Jesus, that would be like it's like the best possible outcome for buying a fucking console.
Yeah, really, like that's to this day. I mean, I mentioned before I collect Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. That's probably the second best deal I ever got because the best was actually getting a copy of Mega Man X3 for Super
Yeah.
Nintendo used from Blockbuster for about $15, and that game now goes for about 200. So, yeah, anyways, Nintendo first console I bought on my own. Mike?
All right, Michael, go
So
ahead.
the first console I bought for myself with my own money. Wait a minute. Now that I'm thinking about it, it was not. The first one I actually bought was my PlayStation 1. I saved up my $2 a week allowance. I had probably like $50 in my bank account, and my friend that was moving away was like, "Do you want to buy my PS1 for $50?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I do." But
Why none of my friends have ever done this for me. Like
yeah,
Sold you
I've
consoles?
never had fucking deals like this to make.
but the first console I bought from like a store for myself was the Nintendo GameCube, and
Like
that
new in a
one,
store.
yeah, like from
Yeah.
EB Games, and that one felt really good because it was like again, it was me and Dad. We went to that mall, and I think that was like my first like big purchase. It was something like $400. I bought it with like Wind Waker,
Were you
and
working? Were you working at the time?
yeah, I was working at that
Yeah.
restaurant.
See, that's why. Well, since you mentioned it, I'll mention mine as well. My first that I bought new was a PS2. The same thing from EB Games after I'd gotten my first job, and then I
Okay.
bought with.
Yeah,
I don't remember what I got with it to be honest. I think a couple games. I know I bought DDR, but that's all I can remember. Probably Tekken Tag.
Dude, one of the games we had on the Xbox 360, you said DDR, so this came up, was Rock Band and Guitar Hero.
Hmm.
I don't know how much fucking time I spent trying to get all of those songs done on Expert on guitar. It
man,
was
when
fucking insane.
Guitar Hero, that brings back memories because in high school, when my friends wanted to go do hard drugs, I would go hang out with this other group of friends, and we would either play Super Smash Brothers Melee or Guitar Hero.
They weren't doing hard drugs. They were smoking pot. That's not a hard drug.
It's a
Okay.
gateway drug, Eric.
Uh, I don't want to get into this because this is a family podcast, but
Oh, is
there
it?
was a, there
Is
was
it
a lot of
more?
shenanigans going on in a Tim Hortons bathroom.
Was it really? Oh no, I think you told me that. Okay.
Dude, like
Yeah.
my yeah, those guys.
Um, but anyway, there were nights where I would go hang out with. Actually, it was some friends that I met through Gabe. They were Gabe's age, and like we would go to one of their houses and hook up Rock Band. There'd be like 6 or 7 people there, and we'd rotate through. And then because we live in such a small town, we would be hungry at like 2:30 in the morning or 3. So we would drive an hour and a half to the next closest town and go to IHOP and then drive
Jesus.
back. Just because that's apparently what you do in small towns. I don't know.
Yeah, that
Like,
Because
is
there's
what you
nothing was
do in
open
small
that late.
towns.
yeah, nothing's open that late unless you want to go to like an all subs, which just has like fried burritos and shit.
That was probably during the time period when you could not go to a house party without somebody putting on Rock Band. Like that
Yeah.
game was
That
huge
game
for a while.
was like the biggest game in the world for a couple years, I
People
think.
were getting in like the Guinness World Record book for that and stuff. And it was
Yeah,
like people were getting into the book for video games before that, but I remember that was like the first time I saw like a newscaster talking about it.
yeah, it was pretty mainstream.
Talking about driving to the next town over just reminded me of a. So on our lunch break, we would have an hour for lunch, and me and my buddy Conrad, we would sometimes drive to the next town over for Wendy's for lunch. Eric, we would go to Newmarket and then
Yeah.
come back, and it was like literally we would just drive to Newmarket, go through the drive-through, and then just like eat in the car while we drive back, and then like barely make it back for like the rest of class.
Well, yeah, because Newmarket's a good 30-minute drive. So
Yeah.
Oh, good times. High school and shit, I guess.
Oh yeah, nothing but good memories in high school, right, boys? Right,
High
boys?
school, high school was
Eh?
all right for me. It
Eh?
wasn't bad.
Eh?
no, I enjoyed it. Like people always be like, "Oh, I hated high school," but I don't know. For the most part, I'm not gonna say it was all good, but I'd say for the most part, my memories are mostly positive. I'd say 80 to 90% positive.
I
I'd
think
say
for
about
the
the same.
most part, I guess it was all right, but no, I think I kind of hated it. I don't know.
Well,
Well, then say that. Don't say it was good.
I had good friends, but like other than that, like everything else sucked. I don't know.
well, it's mostly like when I think of bad memories from high school, I look back and cringe at some of the stuff I said and did.
Oh, dude. So
There's like
I
a
was
cringe
pretty.
comp for Eric out there.
I have a cringe right here. Like,
Cringe us up, boy.
oh Jesus, fuck. This is like cringy just thinking about it. So I was a naive young freshman, 15 years old, and I see this girl I hate wearing these like neon highlighter pants. And
Damn. Was she thick?
holy shit, this is so fucking bad. I didn't know what MILF meant.
Oh no.
So
Oh
I was like,
no.
over to my friend, I'm like, oh yeah, she's because I thought it just, oh Jesus, this is so bad. I thought it just meant like, I thought it meant like slut or like just a derogatory term used for women. And I called her MILF. My friend's like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, I thought you hated her. And I'm like, I do. And that's when I learned what MILF meant. It was so fucking bad. Oh,
That's
Jesus.
so funny.
That's
That's so
hilarious,
good.
though.
Just thinking about it like makes me cringe so hard. Oh,
Oh
fuck.
man.
All right.
That's awesome.
All right.
So,
So
chestnut.
let's get back on the topic, shall we, boys? Garrett slash Eric slash Michael. What was? What are games that stick out in your memory? When like
All right.
like your I guess again the word fondest games growing up.
So, I already said Kingdom Hearts, so we'll skip that. But I remember this one game. My best friend also had an N64, and he had an older brother too that was a year older than my brother. So he had this game on the N64, the Green Army Soldiers. Do you know?
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we would play 2v2, like young brothers against older brothers.
Yeah.
And I'll just come out and say it. His older brother was awful, and so was I. So it was basically a standoff between my best friend and my older brother in these games. But like, I just remember going to their house all the time to play like Green Army Soldiers because that game was so much fun.
I remember that game when it came out and like it was in like the magazines and
I
stuff,
think it was just called Army Man.
but I I never ended up actually playing it.
But yeah, it was really fun. You just like these little plastic army men,
Yeah.
and like some of the death animations were pretty funny because like one of the army men had a flamethrower and you could just melt them.
Okay.
Oh, great
They
game.
are plastic.
Yes.
So Eric,
All right.
let's give us one of yours, Eric.
Well, I'll just stick with one. So I'll stick with the one that sticks out most in my mind, which is Pokemon Blue for the Game Boy. And I got that game the same year that the Game Boy
Mike.
Color. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was weird. Uh,
I really like
this
Pokemon. All right.
I got that game the same year that the Game Boy Color came out. And basically, at the time, our stepfather's mother was wealthy, and any kid in her like extended family, basically, you could look through the Sears Wish book. Remember those? And choose anything you wanted up to $100, and she would get it for you for Christmas. So the Game Boy Color was coming out. It was $99, so I knew I was getting that the next day. And then from our dad, I got Pokemon Blue, and we were so hyped for it. I had one of the original black and white Game Boys, the big gray bricks, but it had gotten screen rot. So you would turn it on and you could make out maybe 25% of the screen and the rest of it was just pixeled over. But me and also Mike were so hyped for Pokemon Blue that we couldn't wait 24 hours till I got the Game Boy Color. So I tried to play it on the bricked out Game Boy with him watching over my shoulder because we were that excited about it.
I remember being like not laying on top of you, but laying on the side of you and like my hands on your shoulders, just like watching you play Pokemon Blue.
Yeah, on this fucking Game Boy that
Had
you couldn't
half a
even really
screen.
make it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
See, I remember we had gray brick, as you called it, and I don't know where it is now. My mom probably still has it somewhere. But we played cubed, Qubed or something weird like that.
huh.
Don't
You
know.
guys
Is
ever?
it just a puzzle game?
Yeah,
Okay, so like probably a Tetris clone.
yeah, something like that. Sorry, I was just reminiscing.
Um so okay, I'll tell this one. I got a good one. So, um we once went with me and Eric used to get babysat at a public school. And for some reason, they were like, let's go to a
It was
baseball game.
it was a public school that ran a daycare out of it, and thankfully they never got caught up in the whole satanic ritual abuse hysteria of the time. But anyways, continue.
So we went to a Jays game, and for some reason at this Jays game, they were handing out Nintendo Powers. And it was a magazine that we always wanted, but we didn't have the money to subscribe to it. Or slash mom didn't let us subscribe to it. We had to subscribe to educational magazines such as Owl and Chickadee.
That turned out great for you
Yeah,
guys.
super educated. We also had Disney Adventures, but anyway, so it was so amazing because we had like, oh my god, our very own uh, Nintendo Power. And I remember it had stuff about Pokemon, and this was before Pokemon had come out. And it had stuff to do with Super Mario RPG. And also they had like there was an article about like the 100 best Super Nintendo games of all time or something.
It was just 100 best Nintendo games up to that point
Yeah,
of all
and like
time.
I think number one they gave it to like Donkey Kong Country 2, which is
No, they gave it to Mario 64 actually, which was brand new at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
And then it was DKC2, and then it was Chrono
No,
Trigger.
no. Where's your memory, man? It was Mario 64. I don't remember what the second one was. I know third was Tetris.
Okay, yeah,
But
I'm thinking
anyways,
about different things.
yeah.
So, anyways, there was an article, and kind of like it was a long one, so it had like a walkthrough for it. Like Nintendo Power used to do like parts of walkthroughs for games, and it was for this game called Lufia 2. And me and Eric were obsessed with RPGs when we were kids. And we would like make up RPGs in our heads and we would like talk about them and whatever. And a lot of them were inspired by like the screenshots of this Lufia 2 game. And so years later, we have emulators and ROMs, and I can basically play whatever game I want. And one day, I was like,
It
"Wait a
hit
minute!"
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it hit me. I was just like, "What's that game?" So I'm like rummaging through my crap. I find the magazine, the article. It's all ripped. The magazine. I find that article still there, Lufia 2, and I was like, "I can finally play this game. I can download this game." And it's one of the best RPGs on that console. Like Lufia 2 is an amazing fucking game.
Oh, it's one of the best RPGs of all time.
Yeah.
I'm glad I bought that from a used game store about 5, 6 years ago now, and I've played through it, I think, 3 times. So, yeah, great fucking RPG.
Yeah, it's so good.
Um, Another game I want to bring up real fast. This was the first time I ever played PlayStation 2. It was at my uncle's house. He had a PlayStation 2, like this is when they were brand new and everything, or at least I think they were brand new. Um, GTA 3. He had Grand Theft Auto 3 on his or for his PlayStation, and he let me play it, but my mom was so pissed
Oh, I bet,
because
dude.
like GTA 3, was a fucked up game. And I just remember like playing through it and like using all these cheat codes. Like I was only there for like maybe a couple hours, but every time, because this is my dad's family, every time we went to visit my dad's family, I would be just so excited because I get to play Grand Theft Auto 3
Yeah.
because my mom wouldn't say no to letting me play it. So like we would always fucking play this game, and it was one of my absolutely favorite games. Like I just have so many memories because for a while we would play like me and Gabe. We would swap out whenever you died. So I would get in a car and just drive around the whole time for like fucking 30 minutes at a time.
Oh, and not
So Gabe,
die. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So Gabe would get to play, and then Gabe like eventually like forced me to have a bloodbath or whatever, like just kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have some great memories on Grand Theft Auto 3. It was super fun to play. First Grand Theft Auto game I played, but
It's the first one
yeah.
most people played, I think.
And I'm glad you brought that up because that kind of segues into the next topic. We were going to bring up rumors that you heard about games.
Oh, wait, I still have more stories.
Okay, well, that was awkward, but go on.
We'll get to that. We'll get
Nice,
to that.
awesome
We'll get to
segue.
that. But yeah,
Way
so
to kill the momentum, but yeah.
well, I don't want to backtrack.
Okay.
Anyways, um, uh, so
Oh
there
no.
was a time before when we didn't have the Nintendo. All we had was the Super Nintendo, and this family that we were sucked into, like our stepfather, every Christmas, I forget who it was, but we would go. That entire family would go to that person's house, and they had an original Nintendo, and that was the only time
It
we
was
would
his
get to.
mother's house. But yeah, go on.
No, not
Yes.
not Nanny.
She had the original Nintendo with. Anyways, go on, go on.
No, I'm talking. I'm talking about the one in the woods, the house in the woods.
Oh yeah, they had an original Nintendo too. Okay, yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I remember going there and being excited because they had Duck Hunt and the original Mario. And I remember like us talking on like the way there about like, oh, I'm gonna play Duck Hunt and then I'm gonna play Mario. And then maybe I'll play more Duck Hunt or some shit. I just remember like we were just so excited to go play this fucking original Nintendo while this Christmas party was going on.
Well, anytime you got to play a game or a console that you didn't own was exciting.
Yeah.
It was always good times. Because one one time me and Gabe were fighting at my uncle's house for the controller, and he was pulling on the controller. I was pulling on the cord. My uncle comes in, and is like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Stop that shit!" And they like, it's like I don't want this cord to break. See, but I don't know why. I don't know where that came from. Just playing on other people's consoles, I guess.
Okay, I know, okay. So another memory I wanted to bring up before we move on was so at our dad's house. It was basically like we would rotate from the video game console TV, the satellite TV, and the computer with dial-up internet. And
Right. So there were three of us, like me, Mike, and our sister Jenny.
yeah,
So you would have 2 hours at each thing. Like you could spend 2 hours playing video games, but then you had to give it up to somebody else if they wanted it, and then you could either go to the computer or the TV. And
yeah,
it
like you could swap, if you wanted, like, but the max amount of time you had on something was 2 hours, and if someone wanted off on it, you had to get off. So me and Eric both had, because we were assholes to each other, we both had catchphrases to like tell them that their time was over, and this is like
like you couldn't
on the
just
second.
you couldn't just be nice about it and be like, hey, it's my turn, I need to be on
I
that.
so like Eric would just be like looking at the internet, and I'd creep up right next to his ear and just be like, "You're out of there!"
And like you do this like umpire thing
like
like that.
the thumbs up going like back behind my head, like
And I would just be like, I just have this dickish thing where I'd like do like a really high pitched voice. I'd be like, "You're done, you're done, it's over," and you'd be like, "5 more minutes. I need to save. I need to save," and I'd just be like, "Nope."
You guys are assholes.
yeah, that's the classic. It's just like the like
Yeah.
I'm sure I've done it to you before, Garrett, where it's just like, and you
Yeah,
get
go.
more and more high pitched the more you say it.
I don't know how I feel about you two sometimes.
We were cut from a very special cloth.
No,
Mm.
you know what it was? It's like when we were really little kids, we got along really well. And then by the time we were both well into our teens, we started getting along really well again. But from a time period of like, I don't know, I guess I want to say like preteens to mid-teens, we just like were complete assholes to each other.
I don't know why it's so stupid, but like I remember like there was like blackmail involved, and like it was
Yeah.
like any chance we
What
had,
kind
we
of
just
blackmail was
it would
this?
just be like, oh, like my friend told me that like they smoked weed with you, so like you're gonna do this for me, or I'm gonna tell mom that you smoked weed.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And like literally, and like okay, all brothers fight and all brothers get in fist fights or whatever, but like it was fucking bad. And we
Dude, there
only
were there was one time when I said something that really pissed you off and you launched yourself at me and you were so pissed. He wasn't even trying to like punch or kick me. He was just in such a rage. He was literally trying to like basically like scratch my fucking face. And I'm like holding him by the wrists and I'm kind of laughing, but I'm laughing in a combination of like I'm laughing at the
fear.
fact that he's freaking out so much, but I'm also like kind of like nervous laughing because he's trying to like gouge my fucking eyes out.
Well, it sounds like you deserved it, Eric.
Yeah, he did. He was an
I don't even
asshole.
know what I said that time, to be quite honest with you, but
So
If
there.
we're gonna bring up,
Well, I was
if
gonna
we're,
say we became friends because uh we moved houses and there was like a month where you stayed in the old house and the
that
rest
we
of
were
us
selling,
moved to the new house.
yeah.
And then
And when I came back, it somehow like reset things, and we were able to be like
we
cool with each other again.
yeah,
It was weird.
it was really weird.
But real quick, since you brought up all this shit, I gotta mention that story where basically when I was a teen, I went to Chinatown and bought a bunch of hentai DVDs, and this was back like I guess they didn't give a shit back then because I was clearly underage and I'd walk in there and the guy just be like, "Yeah, what do you want? What can I get you?" So I bought like a bunch of
All
hentai
of the porn.
DVDs. Yeah, and hid him at like this thing in my dresser. And then one night, my mom decides while I'm at my friend's house, it's like I'm gonna reorganize his room because that's what every like 16-year-old wants is their mother to go poking around in their room rearranging shit. Uh, so anyway, she found both the DVDs and my cigarettes and left them on like a pile on the floor. And Mike goes into my room and sees all this shit.
So,
And
well, so what happened was mom, because we had a really tiny house, so mom had to like talk to Eric in the car for like privacy. And I remember being like, what are they like talking about? And I remember like I opened your door and there's just shit everywhere and I was like, "Oh fuck." And so I see these DVDs and I was like, "Oh fuck. Oh fuck." Cuz this was like before you could like easily find porn on the internet.
movies, anyways,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I grabbed one and I was like, "I'm going to hide this in my room." So I stash it in my room, and then I'm sitting there, and I'm like, first of all, I'm really excited, and then I was like, wait a minute, he's getting yelled at for these DVDs. They're gonna come back in and be like, oh, like where's all my DVDs?
One's missing,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mike for sure took it. So I was like, I like bolted back, grabbed it, just threw it onto the pile of shit, close the door before you guys came back in. Uh,
You fucker.
I wish I stole it. Anyways,
What
let's
what'd your
talk
mom say to
about.
you, Eric?
You know what? She only gave me shit for the cigarettes. She never brought up the DVDs. I guess either she didn't care or she just thought it was too awkward. I don't know.
Hmm, interesting. But yes, let's move on, shall we?
Yeah. What 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 were we gonna bring up there, little Eric?
We were gonna bring up rumors that you heard about games before anybody could go on the internet and know you were full of shit. And the reason why I referenced it, because Garrett brought up Grand Theft Auto
I've
3,
got
which was
plenty, like
yeah,
from just from Grand Theft Auto 3. Like,
yeah. Well, that specifically triggered the memory though, because that was one of the games that was controversial because it was so violent. And one of the
yeah.
first games like that was, of course, Mortal Kombat. And because Mortal Kombat was so violent, and also because secrets were a big part of the game, there were a lot of really fucked up rumors about that. Like, basically just like fatalities that didn't actually exist. And I remember one from the first game is people said, "Oh, Liu Kang has a fatality where he turns into a dragon and eats the guy." And it was total bullshit. You couldn't do that in the first game. But that rumor made its way back to the creators of the game. So in Mortal Kombat 2, they made that one of his fatalities,
Oh, well,
which I always thought was pretty cool.
MK did that for a lot of stuff, like Ermac. Ermac
Yep.
was like a rumor. Uh, it sounded like I was gonna do a list, but that's all I can think of.
I've got one that is related to Grand Theft Auto. Like, so my aunt and uncle both play it. Of course, it's their fucking PlayStation. But they would say that you could make the character shit and piss in a car. And I'm like, what the fuck? How do you do that? And they tell me how to do it and everything. I'm like, I'm trying my hardest to like get this guy to do it. And nothing happens. So I'm just like, oh man, I guess I'm just not good enough. Like and then like I'm still trying to do it. My aunt's like, "Oh yeah, I even got him to throw up on a guy earlier," and I'm just like, "What the fuck?" How
So
are
were
you
they-
able to do all this?
Were
Why
they
was your
just
aunt
fucking
lying to
with
you?
Yeah, I think they were just fucking with me because they thought it was funny.
Wow, you're. Oh, is this is the aunt I met, right?
No, this is my
Oh.
dad's side. Well, you might have met her, but I
Damn.
don't think so.
It's not the aunt that you always talk about.
Well, I mean, it's
The one
no,
that we
just
went
no,
to the house.
no. You haven't met her.
Okay, I didn't meet that aunt. Okay.
No.
And then there was there's the classic rumor from Super Metroid, and that's and this is true. If you did beat the game in a certain amount of time, Samus's suit would vanish and you'd see her in a bikini. So the rumor was that if you beat it in like an even shorter amount of time, you would see her naked. And a
Yeah.
lot of people believed that one. And I remember you at one point were like obsessed with trying to get that.
I believe it was like I died like 4 times, and I was like, I don't think it's real. I don't think I was obsessed with it. All right, let's not. That's a pretty harsh word for something like that. So one thing I remember was before the days of GameFAQs. Well, I think GameFAQs probably existed, but you would basically Google or Big Mama like cheats for games, and I remember um, for Harvest Moon 64. This was a game that me, Dad, Eric, and Jenny, our sister, we all four of us played religiously. Like that game would never be off for longer than like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like we just all played that game. So we would look up cheats, and it would be like you'd get this like pig statue for your house, and it would be like hit that 100 times with the gold hammer and do this, do that, do this, and then you'll get a pig on your farm, and like just a bunch of weird cheats like that or secrets that we would try, and then you find out it's just a waste of time, and it was like the I don't know, like the Wild West back then. It was like you could just make up anything and like people would read it and just believe it.
Yeah.
Like in old Pokemon, like Dratini can evolve into Yoshi. Do you know that? It's true. It happened.
Well, if you brought up old Pokemon, people were obsessed with use strength to move the truck and there'll be Mew underneath it, which was, of course, total bullshit. And interestingly enough, there is a way to get Mew in original Pokemon Blue, but it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah. There's like the whole teleporting away from the trainer fight and stuff.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
long and convoluted, but it's possible. I've
It's
done
not
it.
even worth it. Mew's a shit Pokemon. Like, why would you want Mew when you could have Charmander? Honestly, tell
'Cause
me why.
Mew's amazing.
I think Mew's base stats are all hundreds, which is amazing. So
Charmander's base stats are all fire, so you know.
that's not even a thing. That's a thing.
Yeah, it is. I see it on Snapchat. Like, this is fire,
Oh
like the
my
little
God.
fire emoji. So yeah, that's Charmander's stats.
Anyways, we had
We
how do
had
there
a
was
little boy.
there was a time where my dad lived in an apartment with one of my that was like he rented an apartment for one of my schoolyard friends family, and this kid was a liar. And one time he told me that in Final Fantasy VII he found a way to put the Mako cannon onto the Highwind, the airship, and he was like driving around and like blowing up stuff. And I believed him.
I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, you could just go use the Mako cannon on Shinra and Midgar and Sephiroth.
Yeah, and I say things weird.
And summon Meteor. I think we did this last time.
We did mention Meteor. I remember that.
Meteor.
So does anyone have any more 90s rumors, pre-internet rumors?
Sick 90s info.
Well, I remember this one guy I knew, Chris, who was kind of notorious for making up bullshit at times too.
Good old
And
Chris. He used to play RoboCop.
no, different Chris. But
Oh.
anyways, we at the time only had Mortal Kombat 1. We didn't have Mortal Kombat 2 yet. And in Mortal Kombat 2, there's this thing called babality, where you turn the person into a baby. And all that happens is like the person turns into a baby, and you hear like a little crying sound effect, and then like baby blocks come down and spell out the word babality. But he claimed he figured out a way how to do it, where when you did it, you would then see hands come out of the corner of the screen, give the baby a bottle, and then like take it away.
Why? Why would it? What's the
Yeah.
point? Why would it give it and then take it away? Like,
Was giving
maybe
it
if
the
it
bottle.
just gave it.
He's giving it the bottle to calm it down and then taking it away. But since I brought up this guy, I mean, when else am I ever going to tell this on this fucking thing? This guy had like the most extreme bullshit stories you ever heard in your life. And I'll just tell the best one real quick. He said he was with his mom at this place called Liquidation World, which was like a store where they used to sell like products that other stores were getting rid of. Yeah, like a big Walmart type place. So anyways, he was in there fucking around, and his mom went to get her hair done at the hair salon next door and left him in there. And he said he was running around and he knocked a lava lamp off a shelf, and it broke and it splashed all over a massage chair. And that caused the massage chair to catch on fire, which caused the store's sprinkler systems to go off. And he said people were like running and stampeding for the door, and like employees were running around and swearing. And he just ran out and went back to his mom and pretended like nothing happened. And then he said, as his mom's leaving, she looks at this like burned out store with all this water running out of it and fire trucks and police there, and she was like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And he goes to her, "Well, I guess somebody had an accident."
Jesus,
Yeah,
like
that for
how
sure
the fuck would did he think that real lava was inside a lava lamp?
I think he was trying to imply that the water in the lava lamp like shorted out the circuits on the massage chair and made it catch on fire.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. This kid needs to think through a little
I
more.
think I believe that story, guys. I don't know.
Well, all right, Mike. You're pretty gullible, though. We've gotten you a few times because of your gullibility.
Gullibility. Well, boys, any more fond memories?
Oh, I was gonna bring up. Remember those books that you could buy in like a grocery store, something like Code Breakers, that would have like cheats for all the games.
I do not remember Code Breakers.
That
don't
must have been an
remember?
American thing.
Oh man, that's so weird because like they were in the grocery store of the small town that I grew up in. That's how like around these books were. They had like cheats for all the games, like the GTA 3 cheats to like get infinite like god mode weapons, all that shit were in these books. That's like I'm
So you
surprised
remember
you
like
guys.
I remember video game guidebooks, but it was usually for a specific game that would get put out. This Code Breakers thing, I don't remember that. I guess it was probably American only.
Yeah, I guess it was. That's weird though. Anyway, that was my last fond memory.
Memories. All alone with our memories.
That's enough singing. Thank you.
Well, I'd just like to say thanks for the memories, unless you're a woman with big breasts, in which case, thanks for the memories.
Eric's so funny.
God.
It's fucking hilarious.
What
bro.
a guy, man. What a funny guy.
It's every day, bro. Every day.
Every day, bro. It's every day. Every day. It's every day, bro. Well, on that note, I guess we'll see ya. Well, we won't see ya next week.
We're gonna be gone next week. Mike's having surgery on his throat. He's getting his tonsils out.
Yep.
So we will not be here. But we'll be here the week after that.
On the date of this release, there will not be an episode next week. But if you're listening to this in the future, well, there'll probably be another one out.
I mean,
We
if you listen to
shall
this in the
return.
future, this won't be a new episode. We'll have like a fucking a catalog of episodes, so they'll know that there's gonna be an episode next week.
True.
Anyway, goodbye. Thank you for
See you-
listening.
See you
Like,
next time.
subscribe, and other things.
We were fucking space cadets tonight, but okay. See you later. Love ya.